Well, it's Thursday afternoon, late afternoon, everybody. Got the man, the legend, Clif High with us, or with me, I should say. There's no us here. and he had a little bout, little surgery, little issue going on, but he's recovered. I'm shocked we're even doing a video right now. You were just released yesterday, I guess, and
No, it was
the
Tuesday.
day before, Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap. So, I mean, you look good, you sound good. Got a nice laptop with a beautiful looking picture on his quality. Anyways, I was just talking about that. He got himself a new Surface Pro. So, man, what a scary ride. You've been dealing with this for freaking most of your adult life, I guess, huh?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so let me see if I can get Kathy to say the word for me. What is it? It's an She's going to look it up. But in any event, it's where one part of your intestine goes over another part. Okay, so one part of your colon slides into another part of the colon. So basically, it's this triple fold thing. It's intussusception. Intussusception.
Okay.
Okay. What's that? Intussusception.
Okay.
Yeah, she's shouting across the ocean in the background and stuff. But basically, it's one part of the tube goes into the other. So you get this weird complex fold where it's trying to digest itself, basically, fold it over itself. If you look it up, you find out that a lot of people have it. Maybe 50% of the planet has it for a minute or less, a couple of seconds. Frequently, they'll do catch people having these episodes in like car wrecks when they have to do generalized exams of the gut and the whole body on somebody after a car wreck, a CAT scan. They'll discover them, and then they go back later and they're not there, and it's because they withdraws and reconnects itself. Well, I've had these episodes since I was a kid. They come on. Usually, this is found more frequently in infants. But another period of time when it sort of happens a lot is when you're in your early teens. And I've had episodes since I was 14, and it's just simply never been diagnosed. And it had cured itself over the years for various lengths of time, and it has not been a problem. And then from like 1983 onward, it has gotten increasingly more persistent, and the problems have developed such that I thought it was first this disease, then that disease. Like at one point, and I've been diagnosed with all these weird things, none of which were ever accurate. So some hospitals, when they would catch me in the middle of one of these attacks, would find my enzyme levels were elevated and think I was having a heart attack. And so they're going to shove a stent into my heart right away. And other doctors diagnosed it as IBS. I've had other doctors diagnose it around the liver. But of course, the problem with the thing is that the condition, because it's not a disease, but the condition can actually cause these diseases to manifest in terms of a collection of symptoms. So it can cause your liver not to be able to digest well because to do its stuff and handle the bile and so on. It can also cause IBS symptoms, can mimic Crohn's disease, mimic all of these others. Now, recently, so I've had a really ongoing episode here since the first part of March, where it's been active or chronic, where it did not unfold. And all through last year, I was mostly pretty good. I'd have episodes all the way up until November, but I had a really good November, a really good December, and a really good January. We moved here in early February. So I'd had like 2 solid months with no pain or symptoms of any kind. We move here, I think I'm fixed. I finally got this thing nailed down. And each time, from the victim's viewpoint, so to speak, you think it's something you're doing. You eat something, you get sick and violently ill the next day. It's something you related to what you ate. But it's not that way at all. It's that the condition erupted overnight for whatever reason and caused the whole problem. And so this ultimately led through a really nasty 6 months. And during that period of 6 months or so, you'd have blood in the stools. It was just really a very terrible kind of a thing. You think you got an ulcer, you show all the signs of an ulcer, but there's no enzyme that diagnoses that says you got an ulcer, right? And so, but you respond to it as an ulcer, you seem to be getting some effect, there's some success because the condition is withdrawn or relaxed, And so you're going about your regular business, you just don't know, and so you're constantly reacting. So it's been altering my life for like 51 years. And then this past 6 months has been chronic, where it never relaxed. And I didn't realize what was going on there. It kept getting worse and worse. And ultimately, it led me to the point of considering, okay, I'll check my genetics just to see what I might be prone to. And lo and behold, inside my genetics, it says that you're prone to celiac disease, which is the inability to deal with gluten. And so I think, aha, at last, and then I go and see, after a terrible episode of this, I felt better the next day. And the really weird part of this is that prior to this year, you'd have an episode and it would turn off in a matter of minutes and you'd start feeling great, normal, gonna go out, and get a cheese pizza, that kind of thing, right? And you'd start feeling regular and so on. But when the episodes were happening, in 2015, there were 3 times in the month of July where I would wake up at 6 in the morning with a blood pressure of like 215 over 165. And it's because the bowel had totally twisted and altered your blood pressure and everything, which puts pressure on the whole system and pressurizes your circulatory system. The body's trying to react as best it can. And I was misdiagnosed each time I went into the hospital. Yet, if any of them, I'm willing to bet now that if any of those guys had done a CAT scan, they would have discovered the condition existing right then and there. Now, this was 2015, conditions relaxed, but they never quite went away. So it's more or less been active since 2015, and then all of this year it's been chronic. So it never totally relaxed at all this year, and there was so much of the colon involved that I had to have a big chunk removed. And that, of course, eliminates the possibility of that colon being shoved into another part because it's out of your body. And so that part of the aspect of this is now over. And as is my quest for figuring out what the hell, what's going on here.
This must feel like
so now
massive...
I know I at least have a course of treatment for a condition because it's not actually a disease, and I don't have to worry about that aspect of it. So quite odd, though, man. And let me tell you, going 40 miles in, how they have those little faces at the hospital?
Yeah.
And I was probably a 16 on the pain scale. I had taken hydrocodone or oxycodone that I happened to have here for my elbow when it got trashed, and I took one of those, and it hit, and I had just barely enough strength to understand that I could make it to the hospital before my whole body dissolved on me. The pain was that bad. So,
wow.
But going 40 miles that way under those conditions is no fun at all. They did a good job in the transport, don't get me wrong. It's just that our roads here are rather primitive, and getting up to the hospital and stuff was a real challenge.
So you must have a massive feeling of relief. Like, it's been taking you decades, and now you're at a point where, like, oh my God, I know what it is. It's fixed, and oh my God, like, you must be having an incredible, like, future.
It's so big I can't grasp it.
Yeah,
I can't grasp it. It's like it's totally a rebirth. I also have a huge belly wound that goes,
sure,
from the chest bone down. But I can't grasp that. Oh yeah,
totally worth it.
Totally worth it. Yeah. And I'm doing really well, and things are picking up, and now it's like, holy crud, the whole world's available to me now, whereas I've spent the last few years, especially in my diet, reducing to try and cope with this.
Yeah, no matter what you eat was going to fix that. No matter how healthy you eat would fix that.
Exactly. Did not make any difference whatsoever because it was a condition. It wasn't a disease in any way. And because it's erratic, episodic on its own, it's extremely difficult to diagnose. I'm not ragging on the medical industry totally, but you would think over 51 years with increasing diagnostic tools, someone would have said something. And then I come to this hospital that it's not falling down or anything like that, but it's in severe need of funding and rebuilding and stuff, right? It needs an update, and they've got a CAT scan machine that's old and scarred and looks like something that was hauled out of a Star Wars set, a kind of a cyclotron or something, and there's scratches all over it and stuff. And the guy knows within 15 minutes. He says, "Oh yeah, look right here, there it is."
Wow, that's just incredible. A whole new outlook on life. Just.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like find out you have cancer, you're dying, you're not going to make it.
Boom.
Say goodbye to everybody. This will be your last Christmas, and then all of a sudden, oh, we know what this is. It's not anything. It's not cancer. It's just come in and we'll do a little surgery on you and you're good. Or not, maybe not a little surgery, but we'll do a surgery on you and you're good to go. Whoa.
Yeah, dude, not a little surgery at all.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Crazy. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying the horror of it all is that, there's so many things about, I've had lots of wounds, right? Had a saw go through my leg that required over 300 stitches, but I went home that night. You don't I just am not a guy that wants to sit around in a hospital. So this was my first experience as an adult, and bad for them as a crotchety old adult. With staying overnight in a hospital and being awakened at every 3 or 4 hours to give vitals, and it's like I got to the point where I said, make the damn things up.
Yeah, put something down.
Right, don't bug me. Yeah, just getting to sleep, and there's you can't tell what's going on, and you're stuffed full of drugs, and then but they did really well. They didn't put up with me, didn't kick me out with all the other Sasquatch, that kind of thing. Oh, but that was a bitch too, is that I had so much chest hair, so much hair, that I'm just itching like mad there.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, because I had to shave it all off.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing old Snippy doesn't, I don't have any, very much chest hair, so I'm good in that department. I wouldn't have any issues there.
Yeah, we've got a frozen screen here.
Do we? I see you fine still. Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, then to hell with it.
Yeah, you look good on mine, so whatever they're seeing, I think the viewers will be okay.
Okay.
Because you're good on my side. Yeah. So yeah, your latest WebBot report, July 2nd.
Yep.
Boom, nailed it right on the date. There's still the 4 days in July thing. I'm trying to wrap my head around. Was it the 4 days?
We can talk about that in a second. Yeah, but also there was those guys with a point of sale out of Germany.
Oh my gosh, the DigiByte, the whole thing.
DigiByte. Oh, that was such a huge temporal marker.
Everything you said about DigiByte, I was like, wow. There's like 4 paragraphs, and I think 3 of them has already happened.
Yeah, exactly.
We just got the report.
Yeah, and the point of sale system is such a huge temporal marker for it's like on the top of a funnel. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that is held in that set underneath it. So the fact that it appeared, gives me a lot more confidence that the rest of that set's going to appear.
Well, I felt like just because the July 2nd thing, the DigiByte, the POS. I mean, there's been no talk whatsoever about a point of sale system at all.
Involving, yeah.
Again, when people say, well, his WebBot just grabs, text on the internet and makes a prediction. Well, it's not just that simple. Where the hell did it get that from? Because these guys would be having to be talking about it. The DigiByte team or somebody would be posting about it. They haven't said a word. Next thing I know, I get a little bit of I don't know if it was a tweet, a private tweet, or if it was Telegram, but one of them was like, hey, that thing you were talking about the other day with our guy, Josiah? Yeah. There's going to be a PR release here shortly. I'm like, well, what does it say? He goes, I can't say. Just wait 20 minutes for the rest of the world to see it, and you'll see it too. All right, so I'm watching his Twitter feed, and holy crap, POS system. You got, oh my God, you'll be kidding me. It was just amazing. That's why I'll never turn the WebBot data down. I don't care if it got several wrong in a row. This stuff, it's times like this where it's just like, wow.
We get synced back up again, and there you go. Right.
Which makes me think difficult. The rest of it might be pretty accurate. The rest of the report.
Yeah, and see, there was like I say, DigiByte was at the top of this big pyramid of temporal markers, and I've seen maybe. I haven't been watching online or anything because obviously I've been having my guts removed. But I've seen maybe 4 or 5 of those that have popped up. I just got around to doing email today, so I processed through all of the refunds and the people that couldn't get access to the reports. And so tomorrow I'll start going and running the reconciliation routines and see where the language has actually started to appear. That won't happen. I can start the routines off tomorrow, but that won't happen probably until maybe Sunday, that I might have some idea of where we're at in that big set of temporal markers. And then also tomorrow I'm going to be involved with Dick Allgaier in the afternoon doing a Zoom meeting with him about the cryptos.
And what would you say, just generally, I guess, what does the temporal markers suggest is coming?
There's a link here. All right, so the way it works, so you have to imagine like a Christmas tree, a little tiny miniature Christmas tree in front of you, right, that you can spin around because it's a 3-dimensional kind of a thing. And so the POS, the point of sale side of the DigiByte temporal marker, is within the POS set, And there's a lot of other cryptos that are also involved with this POS set. Okay, so we can, so I can say that there's going to be impacts because of the Digibyte POS set, and there's going to be impacts on other cryptos as diverse as Veritasium and as diverse as grocery stores in France. And so it's going to get really, we're into a really interesting period relative to these temporal markers as they pop off. And I'm more sure at the moment with the Veritasium thing, because certain temporal markers have appeared today for relative to their veritizing of the gold and the silver and that sort of thing.
Today, so you say? Today?
Today, this morning, I saw them, yeah, briefly. My life is a little disrupted here, guys, yeah, so sure. We've got to be real careful about that. I'm on heavy-duty opiates. When I was in the hospital, they had me on morphine and Dilaudid at the same time because the pain was so severe. And now I'm on oxycodone, and the pills just about hit me. So my life is involved with waking, eating a little tiny bit because my stomach shrunk down to nothing, and then taking my pills, and then doing a little tiny bit of stuff, reading or whatever here, hobbling back and having another nap. So, your body only heals when you're asleep, right? It can't heal when you're awake. And so mostly I'm trying to follow that schedule of giving my body as much opportunity to sleep as possible. This necessarily, though, especially with the drugs, means that I'm not sure what day it is or what day I did this and what day I did that. Yeah. But this morning, though, I got on up and had a little bit of breakfast and noticed in one of my feeds that I've got from some, let's just say, Central European areas, that there was some talk on the Veritasium stuff, and I went and looked, and sure enough, it was one of the temporal markers, both by geographic region, by timing, and by subject matter.
So it's safe to say, if anyone out there wondering, still scared or worried about cryptos, this data, the stuff you're saying, temporal markers, is painting a picture of sit tight and hold on. Like it's gonna get good.
Yeah, a very positive picture indeed. But see, you also have to recognize that anybody that's sitting out there fearful about cryptos and so on is simply fearful, and they're attaching it to the crypto aspect of things. They're still going to be fearful no matter what we say. We won't be able to ally their fears. They're going to have to either grow strong hands or get out, because it's going to be really volatile as we go forward. Bear in mind, we've got the European Union coming unglued. We've got all kinds of international changes coming over these next few years. They're going to totally transform the world, of which cryptos are a major and base layer of change, but they're not. It's not the only area in which there's going to be vast quantities of change affecting everything. So the level of trepidation and fear and so on, they'd better learn to manage, because even if they sold out all their cryptos, they'd just simply be in a position to find something else to really fret about.
Yep. So I've had a few people ask me lately, last year's data about 100K Bitcoin parties and 1/5 the price Litecoin. Is that data no good anymore? And I said I don't think so. I think it's all still relevant, right?
Yeah, it's all. See, the way it works is we just build up sets of stuff. A forecast is made from that set. But unless the next run brings in a huge amount of data that's contradictory, nothing has essentially changed. So many of the times there will be a lot of things that it's like, no, I don't want to write that over again. We've already discussed this. There's been no change in these major sets. Now, our problem here is in attempting to apply time to it, because then you get into the ability of the manipulators to manipulate the time component of it. But it does not necessarily mean that they're in any way invalidating the set. They're just attempting to push it down to control where they participate in what's going to happen. So yeah, there's still the 100,000 parties. There's $100,000 Bitcoin parties, and actually, I think I've got a few clues now on some other temporal markers that are in support of that. So bring me back to that point. But so those 100,000 Bitcoin party language is still building. It's still building, and we still have their emotional release tension, and it all seems to be centered around late this year. So that's still good. And the Litecoin 1/5 of the price of Bitcoin that we've got to get into a weird kind of an interpretation here now, because I'm still making all of my Bitcoin calls based on the aggregated Bitcoins, all of the forks as well. Because my data sets existed before any of the forking, and so apply to the primary name, but also any of these subsets that appear off on that. So they've all got to be taken together. So I'm actually of the opinion that, yeah, that's the case. The Litecoin is going to be at some point, but it's all 1/5 of Bitcoin. Now, it's possible if we wanted to slice and dice and trick ourselves, we could say that, well, Litecoin has already achieved that. That if you looked at a very narrow definition of one of the Bitcoins back in the rise, in the manipulated rise, you could see the Litecoin was at 1.1/5 of that narrow definition. But my data sets don't work that way because I'm too lazy to get into qualifications. Writing all of the various different things, except if this happens, except if that happens, or if that happens, do this, because then you're back almost into programming. Yeah. No, it's still 1/5. So I'm expecting some kind of scenario that leads to the confirmation of Bitcoin being used as an intergovernmental, inter-sovereign settlement vehicle. I'm expecting some other temporal markers, about the 100,000 specifically, we'll get back to that now, that show that we've had the first, and that's very key, is that we got to watch some of these qualifying remarks like adjectives and stuff. Sometimes they're very important in this, but we're going to see the first of a very successful Bitcoin ETF, and we'll see that if the temporal markers that are falling now, and it's within that set related to the DigiByte, if those continue to go, then we'll see a successful ETF that will spark off here sometime during a major banking crisis here in summer. And since we're in, towards the end of July, well, we can say that summer extends as far as my data sets go until the equinox in September. And it was when I look at the bulge of data within that definition of summer, it was more towards the end of summer.
Okay.
So it could be happening in early August through to the end of September. We'll get two things that are simultaneous. The build of a banking crisis, a regional large bank that'll have a lot of repercussions, especially political, and at the same time, a successful granting of an ETF and a structure and a method whereby people can actually do this, and some kind of I want to say a stress test or a bench test or an alpha release or something that's out there that gets a wave of publicity about it and is described on its own. So there's data indicating that there will be headlines about the ETF, but not about the ETF per se, but rather maybe about the interface to the ETF having passed certain hurdles or something along these lines. So in other words, it's talking about a supporting aspect of the ETF as a temporal marker, and that comes in with this little set, and it's actually just about the same time that we get a lot more language about the banking crises, this next regional banking crisis. And the data shows the combination of those two, and whoosh, you're way back up on Bitcoin prices very rapidly. Now let's get to.
Did you hear about the CBOE, Chicago Board Options?
Yeah, I knew that.
They're the ones that put out the ETF, and everyone's like, well, before they denied everybody the last two times because they didn't have insurance, they didn't have certain things, but they've got it all. So everyone's like, this ETF should be an absolute positively yes, it'll get approved. Yeah. So their deadline, the SEC's deadline is, I think, August 16th, although they can say, well, we need more time, and that gives them 90 days addition if they need to, but normally they have 45 days to say yay or nay. If they just go by that typical guideline or whatever, they may say yes here. Hell, it could be this month. It could be possibly up to the middle of August 16th, where they say, yep, you're approved, we're good. So maybe
that's the guys then. Well, and then if that's the case, if there's an official announcement like that, that would qualify for the supporting aspect of it, so to speak, the regulation aspect of it. And then the next things you should see would be, you should see that happen coincident with the beginning of a lot of words about this regional banking crisis, which I happen to think will come from Europe, or it could come from Southern California, but I actually think it is going to come from Europe. And as that happens, then you see the next set of forecast headlines about the successful ETF is the shocking level of acceptance of it and the shocking level of people trying to get into it. But it sort of makes sense. But the word shocking is going to be used by major financial kind of media because they're the mainstream. But it makes sense when you think about it as a fund manager. If you're barely able to squeeze out 1% return off of subprime auto, no matter how volatile Bitcoin is, if you can get 10% up in 20 minutes, like we saw the other day, you're the golden boy. And so you're going to put everything you can into that ETF, everything you could possibly squeeze in there.
Huge money.
Right.
It would be flooding in this. I was looking at a chart someone was shared with me, and people have been talking a little bit about on YouTube even, where it was like, okay, here's gold, and here's when they allowed a gold ETF, and that's when gold went way up. And I'm like, that's a good point. There's been a couple other scenarios, and I don't remember what they were, some other assets, whatever, where they did that, and the same thing happened. So it's like, well, if they did it there, why can't it do it for Bitcoin? And at that point, I mean, you got people at home, whether it's E-Trade or whatever the hell they use, potentially.
Right.
Oh, let me drop down. Yeah, I want some Bitcoin done. They don't have to get a wallet, no private key. It's insured.
Right.
This is going to make it easy for the average people. You and I and everybody else listening right now. Like, listen to me, everybody. We're in the ground floor now. Before that time, it was hard to deal with this stuff and figure it out in the beginning, but we did it. We've messed with the private key. Some of us may have gotten hacked or lost our stuff, but damn it, we have it now. And I'm telling you, when this stuff starts going, it'll probably be like you said. Remember when in the Webbot that one of the older reports, we're going to see 408 to 428 three times the data says, and you will never, ever see those prices again. Yeah. And then the next stop is 888, and then we did that, and it just played at 888 over and over and over, and I'm like, come on. Okay, there's something about his Webbot that is really accurate with these cryptos, and we talked about that before. You'd mentioned, well, there hadn't been a whole lot of language on the internet prior to recent times, so that's.
And so now we're running into that period of time where there is increasing language about it. There's an increasing number of the cryptos. The language is going to become more voluminous and thus require more work to plow through effectively to extract the gems. But at its core, we're still inventing new words for the cryptos, and as long as that continues at the present rate, we should have a fairly accurate focus on them, simply on the new linguistics, right? Because every time I encounter new words in my programming, it's like or in the data return, I've got to stop and go and decide if I want to flag them or bag them and throw them away. Because a lot of it's just slang that doesn't mean anything. But if I tag it, then it's one of those that's going to like HODL. How good as an indicator has HODL been? It allows you so many different ways to show the propagation of the Bitcoin and all of the aspects of it here. So as long as we keep doing that, I think we'll still be accurate for a number of years out on these. And this month should be real key, I think, in terms of this particular July report. If we hit the other aspects of the temporal markers that were behind the DigiByte, then we'll see our $100,000 parties near the end of the year. We'll see people making jokes about Max Kaiser having lost enough cryptocurrencies just by misplacing PCs and phones to be able to fund the world.
That's something that picked up, like something like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, because what it does is it picks up things with high emotion. So there's going to be a joke that will feature Max Kaiser and feature his lost cryptos and feature the huge amount of the planet that it could have funded. And that joke is going to go viral. And so what we have is a forecast of the joke. I don't have any of the memes. I don't have any of the punchline. I don't get any of that. But it's like and I love things about Max Kaiser, okay, because he's a very interesting personality. One of the reasons he's a very interesting personality for our work is that he's not like a regular celebrity. There's not a PR guy out there managing his every word and scooting him around and this sort of thing. He's basically what they would describe as a loose cannon, which means he's got his own linguistic set that you can easily wrap around him, and he's an attractant to high level of energies, especially in the financial sphere. This was why way back when I could say, I don't know if you remember this or not, but one of the reports said Max Kaiser's going to have a UFO experience in 3 or 4 weeks.
I've been waiting to say that.
A UFO comes shooting out of the Thames or something right behind him there.
Yeah.
And then he had to feature it again.
So everybody listening, the Webbot did something. It got it wrong. Listen to me. I remember that report where Clif High said, something about a UFO with I don't remember the exact wording right now because it was a while ago, but holy crap, it happened. Yeah. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. While he's doing the live broadcast, this little thing goes bloop, You got to be kidding me. Again, how the hell could a web anything pick that up? It's just crazy, you know. So
Well, see,
anyone
okay,
who thinks
but see-
that's stupid right now, pay attention, because that happened already. So if he says Max is in there again, you better listen
Right.
up.
Right, and see, here's the thing about that one. It was really unique among data items because not only did it happen, but the Max Kaiser show in which it happened, they were unaware of it happening. But all of us as the audience that had good eyes, I'd stop and back it up and, whoa, look at that. You know, you could see it on the YouTube stuff. But when they made it at the real time, they didn't know about it. So 2 weeks later or so, they did a show about Max Kaiser's such a good financial forecaster that, you know, beings from Alpha Centauri come to get his forecast, right? And that heightened the words, brought up the UFO image again, and so it was just almost an ideal kind of a temporal marker to peg to, because we had the high incidence of the emotional reaction of all of us guys, and then as well as that, we had the repetition of the headlines 2 weeks later.
So let me ask you, on the 4 days of July, I've got kind of my own personal, like, 2 running theories. Either, like, for me anyways, and maybe there's a third one that comes and we're all like, okay, that's what it was. But I feel like, okay, we had the time frame, 9th, possibly the end of the 10th, so we'll say 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Funny enough, that Sharon Michelle lady said that was her good feeling. But DigiByte, during that time period, held extremely well compared to everything else. But the market did drop, kind of went sideways, dropped sideways, and I thought, well, either that's the 4 days of, okay, we won't be back there ever again here shortly, or maybe the 4 days haven't happened yet, and I thought maybe, what was it, 2 days ago when we had this big pop that, like you talked about, was 20 minutes to hold it when you were getting released from the freaking hospital. Bitcoin's on a tear, like perfect timing, and maybe that was like day 1, but then we've already had 2 days now, so you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure that out.
That's why I say it was a little vague because I'm not even sure myself, right? I know that those 4 days are going to be significant in hindsight. So it could have been that we're in a situation where on the first of the 4 days, we get 10% up in 20 minutes, and then we have 2 lag days. And then on the 4th of the 4 days, we have 10% up in 20 minutes. So it's like bookended.
In between those 4 days, yeah.
Right. So something occurs in those 4 days that we'll notice later will mark a particular shift in energies. So it was the shift of the cycle that this is marking, not necessarily a
instant giant price rise, yeah.
Correct. And I got people on my case that, you know.
And you didn't say that either, though. I mean, when I reread it, it's like, okay, as much as I'm what people would call a perma bull with cryptos, right. I admit it. I think they're going to be going up. I don't care if they're sell-offs, but when I read stuff, my mind is, of course, like the positive. Oh, yeah, it's going to go. It's good this, good, happy that. But when you really read what's written, there's nothing in there that says, oh, it's going to spike on this day or the 4 days are going to, it's going to double. It's just talking about, you're real clear. It's emotional tones, the joy words attached to this. It doesn't mean instant, tripling of your profits. And people love to take that stuff out of context. And it's like,
people don't read for content themselves. Don't read the content for retention anyway. But you're quite correct, Joe. It's not an instant price rise. It's sort of a weird way of saying if at the end of July we look back, we may find that these particular 4 days, the 9th through the 12th, mark our bottom. But we won't be able to see that until the end of July, right? Whatever it is at that stage, it marks the end of one cycle and the beginning of this next cycle. And coincidentally, one of the elements within those 4 days was the DigiByte thing. You'll notice that DigiByte was going to hold, had in its description as holding value where others didn't. And that was part of the 4 days as well. Now we see that, well, DigiByte had damn good reason to hold its value with all of the nice stuff that was starting to accumulate for them.
Yep, and let's not forget, we didn't talk about this a minute ago earlier. One of those things with DigiByte was which coin is it going to pass today? When that whole first thing pretty much came out, I think DigiByte was around 50 or so on the list. 40s, 30s. It's down to 32, 33 right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in the 20s probably in the near future,
It's going to be creeping up, and that'll be this running meme for the rest of the year is, okay, which horse is DigiByte passed today?
And it's already done it. I mean, from 50 down to 30 or 32. I mean, come on, that's already checked that one off the box theoretically. Webbot hit.
Yeah, but actually, see and another aspect of that though is the duration on that. So there's the occurrence of the temporal marker, and this was a temporal marker that said that it would be a long-running meme. so that we would be, maybe we'll be readdressing this in September. Oh, DigiByte passed, I don't know, Tether or something today, way the hell up. So maybe even months from now, we'll still be doing this.
So yeah, so in other words, check the box now, but you might need 4 more checks next to it as we continue on. It's 30, it's 29, it's 28, it's 25, it's 24. Holy crap, it's in the top 20.
Right.
I mean, I feel like one day that thing could be a top 10 coin.
Oh yeah, no question.
Personally,
no question at all. Right. Well, especially when you consider that what's in the top 10 include things like EOS, and some of these other things, right, where they've got severe issues, practical on the ground, technical issues as well as financing and so on. So yeah, there's I think you're quite correct. I think it'll certainly go into the top 10 on crypto on Coin Market Cap.
Incredible. Wow. So you're chatting with Dick tomorrow? Was that tonight or tomorrow? Did you say that?
Dick Allgaier tomorrow at noon my time, or 11:30 my time. I'm getting him early in the morning before he's had his chance to wake up and gnaw a raw fish and eat a guava.
Yeah, he's. I don't know if you were on the email. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure me and Bix were. You might have been, but he showed us a viewing they did of him and Daz of some coin. They
sure.
Like,
yeah.
You saw that one? I mean, it was a private video for no one to see, but
yeah,
the detail and the things behind the secret
Scary.
white paper, like holy crap.
Well, I actually found out because there was enough detail in there. I was able to do actual research on that, and I know where the location was. I know one of which of 4 buildings it was probably held in. I know the overriding organization. It was the Vatican. The symbols, everything point right to that. So it's interesting, dude.
Yeah, so everyone listening, you may have to wait for Dick and them to release whatever they plan on releasing. It might be something through their Patreon at some point, but it was a really interesting video. We were privy to which I appreciate, having connections and people, like we get cool information and stuff, but yeah, I mean, how much they both just nailed pretty much the same thing. The kind of agenda behind one of these things, was just really interesting. So, was there anything else in your reports? Maybe, I don't know whether you decided to leave it out, or maybe there was a little more detail in that last web art report, or anything exciting, or I don't know, just anything additional you could think of off the top of your head that.
The DigiPulse, right? The guys with the transfer your coins for you as part of a. Outside the system will, those guys?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That whole industry is going to take off and basically power up underneath them. It's going to get some big boosts here pretty quick. I don't understand the circumstances being described because they're very sparse. Well, and to be honest, a lot of the words are non-English within that data set, so it's a little bit more tedious to get into. But there's going to be some kind of I guess we'd have to say legal authority in back of their concept that's going to give them a big boost. And I like that idea. I like being able to, personally build my own smart contract will. So basically, if you think about it,
if this and this happen, then trigger it. My wife,
exactly,
my kids,
exactly. Independent of lawyers or any of that kind of crud, right?
That's
and,
it.
And then I test it out several times ahead of time before committing any real funds to it. But for all of the trigger points. But yeah, and so their approach, I think, is going to be found to be quite sound and legally supportable, and that's going to give them a big boost. And I didn't have a chance to put that in. There was a lot of little small stuff in there that I just didn't have a chance to put in because I was so ill.
Sure.
Bear in mind that the video I did with Jenny, I was in the midst of one of those attacks, and went to the hospital barely 3 days later. Hadn't eaten anything in those 3 days, and was fundamentally being crushed by the pain.
Yeah, I almost feel like crying for you, just because you've been dealing with this for so long.
Yeah.
And you're healed. You're healed.
Yeah.
This is the end of it. As soon as your pain from the surgery and all that goes away, you're a new man. Sure, you're an older man, you know that, but so what?
Yeah.
You tell me all the stuff and the physical things you're fixing to do and get in shape and all these, and it's just, again, it's like you had cancer and you're gonna die. You got 3 months to live, and then all of a sudden, last minute, oh no, you don't. This is what this is. Come over here.
Right.
Wow, I get to live the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, it's very much like an epic, Odyssey kind of journey, in terms of you read the Odyssey and the Iliad, you're talking about a period of years, decades in which these people go through this stuff. And for me, it's, as I put it back there, it's 51 years that this has been affecting my life, and let's say dominating it for the last 15. And it is very much as though as coming out of a prison from which you would never expected to leave, and from which you had actually expected a death sentence. I was actually making plans and doing everything in 2015 to be dead by this point in time, because I didn't think I would make it in this far into 2018. Thought I would die in 2017, pretty sure, given the conditions I was existing under through 15, 16, and 17. Now, of course, the tremendous thing for me is that people have to understand is that this condition I had would limit me for, let's say, at least 5 days a week, would limit me to only 3 hours of productive work a day. Getting rid of that, it's like, wow, not only do I have my whole life back, but I've got all these other hours in a day. I'm no longer under this huge limitation, all these giant limitations and stuff. So it's been, that's why I say I can't grasp it yet. Not just merely the drugs I'm taking, but the sheer scope of it all is just absolutely staggering.
Yep. Like again, born again. Yeah, you're born again.
Yeah, born again. Yeah. It's a absolute rebirth. Yeah.
And it's funny. July. A lot of people talked, astrologically and stuff. Big change and big moving from one thing to the other. This aspect of Jupiter and stuff. Like all this stuff. Like, man, and right. I've been seeing some few little things. Like, oh, July does seem pretty interesting. Whether it's astrologically, who knows? But it made me think about it. So.
Well, also. Yeah, you're right. And my experience of July would 100% support that. And then also, today is Alignment Day. So happy Alignment Day, where today is officially, from a Western astronomer or astrologer's viewpoint, when all of the planets in the solar system are on one side of the sun. So all of the mass of the solar system is concentrated in one half of the space.
My mom was telling me about that.
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and see, this is conjunct. It's happened 5 times in the last 120 years, although it doesn't happen like every 23 and a half years. It's not that regular. And we've had it also happened in the year of my birth, coincidentally. So it's a return for me at that level.
Yeah.
But then again here, this stuff has also been associated with increased volcanism, all kinds of earth changes and stuff.
All of which your web bot have picked up on way in advance.
Right, and here we are again with yet more of that stuff going down this year. That's why the July report was so heavily prefaced by all of the Earth, the flow kind of stuff, right?
The old Alta stuff. Like, I love how you add that in the beginning, but I was commenting on it when I was reading a few pieces. I was like, guys, there's quite a bit in this particular one, and I appreciate it because there's some juicy stuff in there actually that's not crypto related, but still things I think people would want to know about.
Well, and also it affects cryptos now that we're getting to the point where cryptos are starting to become more and more supportive of the general society. I'm not saying mainstream yet, but so such things as volcanism and volcanoes going off are going to affect power supplies, and some of the power supplies will affect miners, crypto miners. So these kind of issues are not to be walked through lightly. And so especially a lot of the flooding things are going to impact a bunch of these kind of operations.
Yeah, so see, if you died this year, like you originally thought, you wouldn't be able to live 2 more years to 2020, see whatever your webbot called Enterprise Joe. I'm still waiting to see this.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Oh,
what is that?
It's going to be so cool. I have no idea what that's going to be, but it's going to be like, JSNP and merged with like Joe Rogan or something, where you've got a giant enterprise under you doing some damn thing.
Yeah,
of course, I never get the juicy part, which is, well, what dumb thing is he going to be doing?
You're like Joe. Here's the first, like the first thing you told me. And I don't even remember what it was now, but it already happened. It was very little. I'm like, well, what is it? And you're like, that's all I got, dude. That's all I got. Yeah. A couple lines. All right, whatever. So then it happened. I was like, holy crap. Then the next thing you're like, hey, near miss at work, kind of a incident. You might, like you're not going to get hurt, but it's going to be a close one.
Right.
I'm like, dude, I'm an IT guy. I sit at my desk all day for the most part. You're like, I'm like, what else is it? That's all that's here. Once again, a couple of things here. That's all I can tell you. And you're like, well, if the data's right, it might be 2-3 weeks out. I'm like, all right, and And I'm like nervous, like, what could it be? And I'm like, well, maybe he'll just get it wrong. Maybe it just was one of these things he won't get. And then the power supply of that damn computer right by my foot was, I'd never seen one shoot sparks out like this one did. like bolts of lightning, Oh my God, my heart was beating like, holy crap, I almost got nailed. And then I like, Webbot hit.
Yep.
Near miss. Holy crap, ran out to my car, video time, guys. So the third thing was the Enterprise Journal. Universe likes you. I don't know what you're going to be doing, dude, but I'm like, what else is in there? Once again, not much data again. Shoot.
Yeah.
But, and you know what? Maybe it's for my own good. Maybe it's, things will just unfold as they unfold.
It's probably best to take it that way, too. You don't want to know too much. Then you try and shovel it down somewhere that maybe is inappropriate. Right.
Yep. So that was just interesting. That was funny. I'm like, you sure it's me? And you're like, well, you got a unique last name. You've got J-Step for you. Like, I've ran you about 4 or 5 different ways. It's you. All right. Fair enough. And then they start happening. So I'm like, okay, whatever the hell he's doing, he's right. So exciting times. But, we're a year and a half from 2020. Of course, we got the whole year. So whatever.
Yeah. And personally, I'm much more, I know it's really a big deal to you, but I actually want to go to 2022 and get my damn flying car.
Oh, yeah. And I'm seeing a little bit more things. Someone sent me one the other day about this car that had these little propellers on it. I'm like, there's a concept car. Okay. You can see it coming.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't be anti-gravity technology per se to start with. I don't know, but it looks like that technology is coming one way or the other.
It's going to be cool, Joe. Yeah. The sci-fi world is just, it was the world I was supposed to be born in, probably, or lead us into, I guess, just with this screwy.
Well, you should have been, but again, with the deep state and everything else, everything being held down, technology, information, it just pushed way out, and then now, boom, we got some interesting things happening. I was doing a video earlier today. I think I did release it today too, and it was you may have heard of the guy's name, Hal Turner. He had a radio show years ago.
Sure, I remember that.
Got some trouble with the feds and stuff. But he says, because he wasn't informant at one point, apparently. I've been able to verify that, but they don't like him. He was put in jail for threatening some judges or some crap. But he posted this thing about, he says, listen, when Donald Trump went to meet Putin, those two were in a room together, and there was nobody else in that room. There was no aides, there was no secret service, there was nobody. And he says, what I've been told is that 160 or so terabytes of data was basically handed to him in person about everything, deep state, children, all of it.
Whoa.
I don't know what to make of it, because again, it's just one guy. It's Al Turner.
Sure.
He's not been known to make up conspiracy, in the past. I don't recall him making up the most outrageous things and it being false, but
and you can certainly see that would be the case. That's the way you got to do business at that level.
Because he's been working with the deep state. Putin has all these years, just understanding it's a part of what we have to deal with. So he probably worked with them, did what he had to do, but in the process, got a lot of information, just waiting for that one person to come in that's ready to do something about it. And there's Trump, because as soon as they had this meeting, the whole, he's Trump, John Brennan, Trump should be, this is nothing short of treason. A head of state meeting another head of state is treason. Yeah. Do you want to throw bombs back and forth at each other? Or do you want to maybe work a deal out? Become friends, so to speak, or whatever, just work together. So they're like in panic mode. You can just see them. They're like in serious panic mode. If you saw, which I'm assuming you did, the John Stroke interview, or the congressional hearing, this guy.
No, I haven't had the emotional strength to watch any of that stuff.
You need some emotional strength to watch this moron.
Yeah, I'm certain I do.
His facial expressions, if you could just, numerous times, just say, no song. Don't know what this is. Just show it to somebody. Look at this gentleman. How do you feel about his? You feel like he's telling the truth right now? Oh my God, this guy's lying through his teeth. Just his face, it's like weird, like almost like he was possessed. Just like, what the hell is this guy doing? He's trying to answer, but he can't. They're just squirming. I think they understand the end is here, and they're trying to grasp at straws. Run with this stupid story. Get Stormy Daniels back out. Get her back. Oh, she's got arrested the other day for letting people touch her on stage. Okay, can't go pull her out. That's the best they've got. An adult film star, like, that's our ace in the hole. Come on. So I look forward to these people getting exposed. I look forward to getting the information we need to see, moving on, and then getting on to the better stuff.
That's going to be fun. It'll be an enjoyable thing for me in my recovery to start getting back into some of this and watching some of the alterations and the changes that are being made in the social order. Because in the past, all I've been able to do is to run ahead of the condition in order to be able to forecast it. And then nowadays, I'll be able to say, oh, okay, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to sit back and watch it like a damn movie.
Popcorn. Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah. That's
Cool.
something I'll be able to actually eat popcorn now, right? Because
true,
in the past, I mean, my diet was so restrictive at times, it was just like being on board, like a castaway on an island without hardly any resources. And now it's like I'm able to eat again. I'm going to expand my whole world, total rebirth. The whole world's opened up again.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you, man. I'm so thrilled.
I'm pleased for me too. Thank you very much.
I probably no one better than yourself,
Yeah.
But yeah, just
Kathy suffered more than anybody on this in some
true.
ways, right?
Yeah, so at least you're not there for her. You got your health back, and you can help her out.
And thus, I'm also not, another source of stress for her, right?
Yeah.
She was quite worried about me because I'm a known dumbass when it comes to dealing with doctors. But I've been trained that way. You go to doctors for 51 years saying that you've got this complaint, you feel thus and so, and for 51 years they misdiagnose you, or they say you're a hypochondriac. Well, at some point you just decide, well, basically to hell with you, dude. I'm just going to try and do it on my own because I'm obviously not getting a success from you. And repetition of something that's non-successful is a sign of insanity. And I know I'm not insane.
Right.
I knew I had something wrong with me. I wasn't a hypochondriac. This stuff is quite real. However rare, and I've got a yellow jacket in here after my pop. I've got to have first time in years. I've got to drink bubbly stuff to help the digestion.
Ginger ale or something?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, really good. I'll pimp them right here. Seagram's ginger ale, made with real ginger. It's like really tasty. It's nice.
Yeah, well, I don't think our internet connection wanted to see that because the whole time just paused. But I did hear you.
Okay, so their competition is now in charge of. That's going to be the ad on your YouTube video when this shows Schweppes or whatever the hell they are, right?
Yeah. Funny.
I'm gonna have to go, Joe. I'm starting to fade out a little bit. I'm gonna need to get some more soup.
Yeah, go get your rest. Heal up a bit.
And then go have another nap. Right.
Yep. All right, man. It's nice talking to you.
Okay, nice talking to you. We'll connect with Bix when the three of us can get together.
Yep, sounds good. Take care.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep. So that's pretty cool. Old Cliff. Put back to my normal size here on my screen. And so interesting stuff. I didn't know that about. I was about to, not PayPal, DigiPulse. Frank at work is gonna like to hear that because me and Frank have been holding out on our DigiPulse, sitting patiently. So that's an interesting little nugget I think we all just got there. DigiPulse, and I've seen that thing run up nicely a few times over the past several months, earlier in the year especially. Like big, pretty interesting numbers, like whoa, and then now it's back down along with the rest of them, but excuse me. Interesting. So take care. Hope you enjoyed seeing old Cliff back. He's new and improved. I'm super happy for him. And even in his sickly stage right now, or after post surgery, the guy, you wouldn't have even known it. He's talking. He's told me that he's burping and farting all over the place. But he's like, it's because of part of the surgery, but at the same time, I've always had these gut problems. Now I'm going to actually function like I should, And he tweeted the other day something about an ICO, an airdrop. I got a bunch of airdrops. He was joking about his farts. And I said, I replied, I can attest. He's dropped. There's 5 different ICO airdrops he's let off already. When I was talking to him on the phone, he ripped a few out and burped. It was funny, but that's just a sign. Yeah, he's back in business, man. His health is back. Awesome, dude. So I'm happy for the guy, man. I'm really excited for him. And he had mentioned to me, he said, because I know this other guy, Joe, I was telling you about that little movie, what was it called? Boogeyman from Studio Z, which has been dragged on a little bit before they get rolling here, but he's getting close. And I've kind of mentioned a little bit of it to Cliff, and he's like, oh, now that, I'm not sick anymore, man, maybe I could play the other bald guy in that scene he wanted. I'm like, yes! So I told Joe, hey man, I think Cliff might come in. All right, yeah. He was psyched too. So, anyways, take care everybody. again, patience is a virtue, as they say in crypto. So just wait it out, my friends. Just wait it out. Take care.